welcome back to another of the Scuff podcast episode. We have great ideas and bad execution. Oh yeah.
Always glad to be in the office again for another episode. We are your guides, your consultants, your idea makers, and the hosts of this wonderful podcast. None other than PRISM Project's very own Generation 2. I am the idol to give you the wings to fly, Cyber Angel Rita at your service.
Yeah. And I am PRISM Project Second Generation. Your favorite Akuma-sama, Arakaruto da yo.
No.
Anyways, can you believe it's been like, well, how many months has it been? It's been like, it's our fifth month already doing this?
4th/5th. This is our 9th episode.
Yeah, so it's like
we're
4.5 months in. Yo!
How time flies, truly.
Right?
We're already reaching the end of 2021.
Oh
and
my
here we
God.
are, still going strong in the Off the Scuff office. I wouldn't have it any other way.
I can't believe we're still doing this, yo. Thanks, guys.
Right, I know it, and it's been lots of fun, and we've been doing a lot of cool things. And oh wow, I'm sure we'll have kind of like a look back on the year later for Off the Scuff, but still, episode 9.
Yeah.
Wonderful feat.
Thanks for your questions. Thanks for your problems, bruv. Without your problems, we'd be going out of business by now, so thanks.
Never thought I'd hear someone thanking someone for their problems. But truly, thank you for
Well,
trusting
if you think
us
about it like that, all business models out there are just there to solve problems. So without problems, we wouldn't have no businesses. Our economy would fail. So thanks, bro.
And if you're new here to the office and you're wondering what in the world are we talking about, here at the Off the Scuff office, we help you come up with solutions or answers to some of your strange questions or topics. Isn't that right?
Yes, but the catch is that me and Booker is right here. We have to agree on the same product, the same answer. Otherwise, you get nothing. Oh yeah.
Nothing. Oh, God.
Although that hasn't happened yet, so I kind of want to see it happen one day. But for now, it hasn't happened. We've always came up with something off the scuff.
And that's on compromise. And it's coming up with something off the scuff. And that's the name of the... We are always coming up with something off the scuff.
We really are.
End card.
All right, and now, no more podcast. Let's go.
Oh, gosh.
You know, like, roll credits. The end.
Roll credits. I know, I feel like the whole... And we'll think of something off the scuff is always such like an ending.
Yeah, right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It has such finality
Yeah, it
to
does. It's like, okay.
It almost.
But anyways, speaking of nearly the end of 2021, you looking forward to 2022, bro?
I am. I really am. I think, you know me. I'm a planner, so I plan things, very much in advance.
Google
so there's always
Calendar.
a lot of things.
Thanks.
Google Calendar, exactly. So there's a lot of things I've already been looking forward to up through March even, I think.
Yo, what the heck?
I'm ready. I'm excited and ready for 2022.
Speaking of
How about you?
March, though, March is when we debuted, isn't it?
That's correct.
Yo!
I don't know. There may or may not be some exciting surprises for our 1-year anniversary, and maybe we'll do some special Off the Scuff episodes.
Oh,
let us know what you think.
True. Do you guys want to see us do anything special for our 1-year anniversary on Off the Scuff?
Yeah.
We can answer your deepest, darkest questions.
Our darkest oh gosh.
It's like, for example, if you want to ask me, hey, Luto, what is the best thing about being a VTuber? I'll be like, all the titties I get to see and touch, you know? So if you want to ask about that, I'm down too.
Oh gosh. Luto always the creative, mind, I never would have thought of that as an answer, but always the creative mind.
To be honest though, when I always use that as the same, like I always use the same answer for everything. So is it really creative or is it just I just whip the same thing out of my ass?
Oh.
Who knows?
Big thoughts.
Big
brain thoughts.
Anyways, Bucketash, what are we in the office for today? Do you know?
That I do know, but you know who doesn't know?
They don't know.
Our lovely customers.
Oh, but they also do know because you probably saw the title of this video.
know what? That is correct. That is true. But they haven't seen the comment that inspired today's topic. So how about we hand it over to you, Luto, to show it off?
Let us present you with today's question on this net. Today's problemo. And today's problemo. Also, it's us right there. For all your visual gamers out there, Bakatash just drew this because she's a Bakatash.
Oh, thank you. Well, we were actually getting the office set up for recording, and we were having some audio issues.
Technical difficulties.
So while Luto was working on fixing that, I thought I'd have a little fun on the whiteboard and do some doodling. I hope you like it, Luto.
It's pretty cute. Thank you. Thanks, bro.
I think. and perhaps I'll share it on my Twitter as well for any of the audio only listeners. You can check it out later.
Yeah, but anyways, so today's problem is by Yuna. Thank you, Yuna. Hello, Luto and Rita. I would like to ask for your help about writing a horror story. Oh, yo, horror story? I've written a few horror fanfics in the past, but I've never had an experience in writing my own horror story of my own OCs. I'd like to ask you guys for advice in writing my very first original horror story. Thank you. I'm looking forward to your next podcast. Horror gamer, let's go.
Horror. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you again for your question, Yuna. This is going to be very interesting. So, advice in writing an original horror story. Oh my gosh.
What do you think of this experience with horror?
I mean, I like horror movies. I'm not as well versed as like Shiki-chan, but I've played a few horror games, and so I guess I'd say I'm a pretty casual horror enjoyer. What about yourself, Luto?
I'm pretty casual as well, but I think when it comes to horror, I don't really watch horror movies. I play the games. I don't think I've actually really seen that many horror movies. I think the most recent one, like one of the only ones I've seen, is It. You know, good old Pennywise.
Pennywise. I think I've watched more horror movies than I've played horror games.
I never done it.
I think horror games are a little bit too immersive in the horror experience than.
I kind of like it better than the movies, cause like when you watch the movies, don't you always want to slap the main characters for being so stupid?
I can't say I felt that, but I can understand why you would think so. I think for me the reason why I gravitate more to horror movies is because I don't have to make any choices that could affect what happens to me. If that makes sense.
Okay, so you don't have to be like, oh no, I went the wrong way. I guess I die now.
Right, exactly. So I already know there's a set path in the movie, and it's not as I feel like with the game it's more immersive. I'm more in the experience itself.
I get it.
Like the horror situation.
Just don't be scared, easy.
Oh god, do you have a favorite horror game?
Definitely not Chillers.
Oh.
Oh
Gosh.
Those games are, oh my god. Have you ever played any of them? Like the convenience store?
I haven't, but
You haven't?
I've seen, no, I haven't, but I've definitely seen a lot of people play.
The games are really, I think they're really popular stream games because they have a lot of jump scares and stuff like that, and everyone loves jump scares. They're like, oh my god, it's VTuber just screamed. Oh my god.
Oh dear.
So yeah, but playing the actual games are a pain because they're so how do you say it? They're so, I don't know, badly designed. A lot of things just aren't very intuitive. They're not very obvious. And then there's a lot of bugs in it as well.
Give your insight on that. Maybe we can give, we can offer some of that advice to Yuna here.
Yeah, but we're talking about a horror story, right? So I don't know about gameplay. I don't know if gameplay.
Well, a story has a game.
Story?
A game has a story.
Oh yeah, true. Okay.
So maybe you can talk about the story elements you didn't.
Right. Chillers games, all of their stories, they feel like really cheap scares. They basically use only jump scares to scare you. The actual atmosphere is also scary as well, but it's literally only jump scares, and because it's like the element of surprise and uncertainty because you don't know what's happening. But most of the time when you get to the ending, you're just like, oh, so that's all there is to it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
It just feels really.
Oh, gosh.
I don't know. It just doesn't feel very well put together, should I say?
I'd have to, go off of that. So, when it comes to like cheap scares, I guess is what you were talking about. I'd say they have to be like well placed, or they have to. I think there has to be substance behind the scare or the fear. Like, for example, this might be a hot take. But I think it was Hereditary.
Haven't
I think
it.
is the movie, and because I think I might have misunderstood the movie. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. But there's a lot of like pagan elements in it that they kind of throw in just to be scary, and they don't kind of explain like the story behind it. So they'll throw in some like scary looking runes, or like they'll throw in some scary like noise or imagery, but they don't explain like why it's scary. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
I get it. Like bad world building is what you're trying to say, right? Like when the world just doesn't feel real, it's like, oh yeah, we have a really creepy house here, but why is it here? No one knows.
Yeah, exactly. Or what's the one movie where they can't like make, or where they have like blindfolds on?
That one. The one where they can't see the thing. And there's another one where it's like a silent place. Yeah, like the
Yeah, and they kind of don't explain like what that hidden like being is. It's kind of just like some like non-corporeal like spirit thing that just does things.
Right. That's like the blindfolded one, right? But okay, but on the contrast, have you seen Asylum Place? It's the one where you can't talk.
Yes.
That one, right?
Yes,
that one I felt like was a lot, like was pretty goddamn good, right? Yeah.
Yes, I think so too. And I think a lot of it has to do with the sound design.
Yeah, exactly. The way they used sound in that movie was so good.
Yeah, or like
the lack of
absence.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, lack of. But I guess we can't talk too much about that since we're talking about like written stories.
Yeah, but I think like
for
still like you can put sort of elements of that in consideration, because you have to.
So what do you mean?
So basically, it's like you have to play to your strength. Like, what sort of horror story do you want to write, right? Like, I feel like something. Okay, in my mind, I haven't seen that many horror stuff, and I feel like most horror stuff is actually pretty bad. So like, the only good ones that I know is The Silent Place, and I think it was actually pretty good. So I'm just gonna try to take from that and say that you gotta use your theme to your advantage. So for example, Silent Place, like the lack of sound, and they just use that really well. And like the world setting, I think the world setting is really important. It has to make sense. It can't just be and this is why 10 people died, but then it's like it doesn't make sense. They died just because they needed someone to die there, like
Right. It kind of on a similar vein to that, of playing to your theme. I should probably write these down. Except for these lovely images. I don't want to. Here, let me move them over.
Move them.
I'll move them over.
Do a little scoot. I'll help you move it up a little bit.
Bye, little. Here, I'll do this.
Bye.
There you go. Well, at least everyone got to see that. So what have we said so far? What have you said thus far?
I guess like world building. And like
I see.
And don't
like explaining.
Yeah, don't kill people off just because you want like the scare. Kill people off and make it meaningful, Like spoilers, but in A Silent Place, is that what it's called? That's what the movie's called, right? Asylum.
I think so.
Asylum Place. I think
maybe we're confusing it with A Silent Voice.
Yeah, I don't know. Am I? Are we confusing it? Can someone let us know?
Oh gosh.
Wait, let me look it up real quick.
You were saying
A Silent.
Okay.
Is it A Silent Place? Or is it just called Silent Place? Oh my god. Silent.
It's like silent something.
Right?
Oh gosh.
Oh, A Quiet Place. That's what it's called.
Ah,
A Quiet Place.
Close. Synonyms. So maybe we were influenced by A Silent.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh gosh.
Which is definitely not horror. But Yeah, A Quiet Place. Spoilers to those of you who haven't watched it.
Right.
So cover your ears, close them up.
Cover.
But I think they don't actually kill off that many characters in A Quiet Place. Not like any of the important ones. And even the ones that they do kill, it makes sense because they have to demonstrate to you how the monster was killing and how they came to the conclusion like this monster was killing, you know?
Yeah.
So every death actually made sense. Like, oh yeah, it made sense that this monster would attack this person. It made sense that this monster would attack that person, you know? But like, a lot of times in a lot of horror movies, they just go like, oh, you die now! And it makes no sense, but you die now!
Right,
Yeah.
right. And you know, so like having a reason for things, if that makes sense.
Pretty much.
Yeah, have a reason. And kind of going off of the whole like fear should be meaningful. I think you know, meaningful fear and having a reason for things kind of fall in the same vein, but when it comes to meaningful fear, I think there's this like generally well-known like collection of the root of fear, like why we fear things. And I think having, you know, sources of fear that stem from those. So let me actually, oh gosh, I don't know what they are, but it's like pieces of fear or something like that, and it'll be like things of the unknown, or do you know what I mean?
I think I know. It's like the natural instincts of what people fear, right? Like the fear of like the deep, the fear of like the dark, the fear of the yeah, stuff like that, right?
Yes, exactly. So like, and it kind of stems from like
survival instincts.
Yeah, exactly, from survival instincts. So like fear of the unknown, like fear of like you know, your health being compromised, things like that.
Yeah. Understandable. Oh, fear of loss, I guess, is one of them as well.
Right, exactly. Oh gosh. So I think maybe like having fear that stems from those, but also like this kind of goes into my next
So
idea,
make it like relatable.
Right, exactly. And this kind of goes into my next I guess topic. But do you know what Chekhov's gun is?
No.
Oh, okay. So the idea is, and this is, you know, Chekhov's gun you can use in any literary. I think this is how you spell it.
Chekhov's gun? Or what is it?
Yeah. So basically, it's a literary device. You can use it in any sort of story.
Oh, that we love literary literary devices. Oh yes. Oh,
Literary
this allegory demonstrates to me.
Oh gosh.
There's years of imagery here.
Alliteration. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I love Chekhov's gun. It's such a fun device, and you see it a lot too in really great media. But basically, what it is if you put up a gun on the wall in the first chapter, you by the fifth chapter, by the last chapter, someone needs to take it down and use it. And so the idea behind it is that if you write something, you should do something about it. Like, don't write something just to have it.
So like
something
setting
needs to
up,
come of
but also have the tension of it being set up, having it on the back of someone's mind, and then being like, okay, yep, we're gonna use it now. Is that kind of
right? Like yeah. So like making it so that everything that you put into your story has a purpose. 'Cause I feel like a lot of times in horror movies, they'll just throw a jump scare in there for no reason.
Right. So what you want is foreshadowing. Is that what you're saying?
Right, or at least, you know, have each element that you put into the story have meaning, whether it's, giving to the world building or it becomes something later. I think everything should have some sort of use.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Makes sense.
But do you have it, now that you know what that is, do you have any sort of like examples off the top of your head in horror? I can't think of any
Chekhov's gun,
off the top of my head. Yeah.
Oh no, there is.
Go
Silent
ahead.
Silent Place, A Quiet Place.
Quiet.
It's that's like one of the only movies I know that's like horror. But I feel like it's just really well done because the way they sort of figured out how to like defeat the monster, they kind of touched upon in the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, but like no one would have saw that coming. Like absolutely nobody would have seen that coming.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It was set up pretty well.
Gosh.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's also difficult to do like Chekhov's gun, or rather, I feel like a lot of times there's like common ways that people use Chekhov's gun, so it kind of like you lose that excitement. So like for example, like you know how like in like Pixar movies or whatever, like at the beginning, you know, there's like the CEO of like a certain like corporation,
CEO,
and it's
entrepreneur.
Like, there's no way a CEO.
Sorry. Anyways.
And so like you know you have the CEO of a big corporation. It's like, oh, there's no way that it's, you know, Mr. Johnson of so-and-so corporation. It's too obvious. But then by the end, it's like, it was him the whole time. You know what I mean?
You mean like in Frozen? What do you mean? What's his name?
God.
That guy? What's his name?
Prince Hans of the Southern Isles.
That was such a bad Chekhov's
right?
gun, man. That was so bad. There was absolutely no foreshadowing whatsoever.
Oh gosh. But I think you know, horror movies that have some sort of like thematic, like, you know, whether it's like a supernatural one or it's more of like a true crime one, I think, you know, maybe at the beginning or somewhere in the middle, you put something in there that seems inconsequential, you know, people don't really notice much about it, like it doesn't stand out too much, right? But it's memorable.
Yeah.
And then so later you can use it and you know, shock everyone and say, oh my goodness, this whole time.
So you basically just want a story that makes sense. But I feel like, yeah, it's true. A lot of times when people write horror stories, I don't know why. Like, you think any other genre, it's been so overdone. Like, you think people would be good at doing it by now. But for some random reason, when it comes to horror, they just stick with the goddamn fucking jump scares. Like, do something else, please.
Well, I mean, there's you know, there's good jump scares, I think.
No, there definitely is. But I'm saying, like, if you only rely on jump scares, your horror isn't horror, man. That's not horror.
True. I think then it's more of like a thriller.
Yeah, kind of. So can I just say, like, why did it make everyone in horror stories so stupid?
Oh gosh.
Right?
Elaborate.
Oh my god. Okay, so for example, I haven't like, this is kind of a bit of a satire one, but I think I was watching a movie with my like members. What's it called again? Something. It's the you know the hillbilly one? It's like a satire on what is it called? I'm trying to remember what it's called.
Oh, that's okay. You don't have to remember what it's called, but you can explain it if you'd like.
It's basically like two rednecks, and then they went on a trip, and then everyone thought that they were serial killers, but then they weren't actually serial killers. Yeah, it was just all a big ass misunderstanding.
Oh.
What's it called? Oh, Tucker and Dale versus Evil. That's the one, yeah.
Oh. So you were saying people in horror movies are stupid. Is that what you mean? So explain.
So Tucker and Dale and versus Evil, like, it's satire. The whole thing is meant to like talk about how stupid, like, I'm pretty sure it's like taking the piss on like horror movies, because everyone just goes in and then they like die and like, and then they're like, oh no, they're gonna kill us. But then like the other two dudes, they were literally not trying to kill them, they're just trying to live their lives.
Oh gosh.
But then because of that misunderstanding, they end up killing themselves. So it's like, you give our friends back, but they didn't actually kidnap the friend. It just so happens that the friend like fainted, so they took her back home to like nurse her. And then the group of friends were like, you give our friend back. And then
oh my gosh.
And then when one of them like ran up and then like put themselves into like the, do you know like the soul thingy? Like the thing where they put a tree in and it comes out like as little dust and stuff. I don't know what it's called. Yeah, they basically rammed themselves into one. Yeah, wood chipper. They put themselves into one of them. They just ran in because they're trying to stab the.
Oh no!
They try to stab like Tucker and Dale, right? So it's all misunderstanding. But from other people's perspective, it looked like they were killing them. So.
Oh no! Oh my goodness!
I just think it's really dumb. It's like they don't. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I'm inclined to it. Well, let's see, because, well, you know, obviously they have to put themselves in horror situations, or else there won't be a horror movie. But I think, you know, it should be a believable sort of, you know, because I feel like in horror situations, obviously tensions are high. You can't think, you know, completely, you know, you can't have your full sanity. You know, I can't expect anyone to be completely, you know,
Understandable.
right?
Have a nice day.
But all right, on the flip side, I think it should be believable.
Right.
I think their reactions and their actions should be believable.
Think about this. I haven't seen that many horror movies, but you know, in like every one, there's one scene where it's like, they open door, girl screams, yeah! Girl runs away, yeah! 5 minutes later, girl dead. Wow, who'd have thought that coming?
Well, I mean, understandable. I mean, you know, like sometimes your reaction is to just try to get out of the current situation.
I don't know if that's understandable. Like, if you think about it, if you're in a really scary place with a group of people, would you put yourself in a situation of isolating yourself? I would never.
Well, maybe like the reasoning is like that specific situation is frightening. So I feel like it's a somewhat natural response to recoil or to like get away. Maybe I personally wouldn't, you know, leave my group.
I get it. Look, I get the want or like wanting to flee and stuff, but I just don't understand why I have to run all the way to like a more dangerous place. Like, I get like if you walk back a little bit or like if you turn around and stuff like that, but you wouldn't be that far from your group, right? But they like run off, man. They like go off, man.
They do. Oh gosh. Well, maybe they're looking for a way out. I think maybe it's like a desperation, or you're not thinking straight and you run off.
Maybe.
I'm not saying it's the best idea, but
right, maybe then. Maybe I just don't
But
understand.
I think believable reactions to things
Right.
is definitely.
Okay, and one thing I hate about horror movies is when they oh my god, you know when they purposefully withhold information just to make it scarier.
In what way? Like
So for
elaborate.
example, like, oh, why is this thing killing all the people? And then you find out later through like someone talking about it, and you're like, right. So for example, when the main character is about to find out a new piece of information and the phone cuts off, you know? Yeah. So that they don't find out until later, which I absolutely fucking hate. Like, it's the same thing happens in Alien Isolation. I don't think that's really a horror game, but some people say it is. I don't think it was that scary. But because it gets really boring because they keep doing it. It's like, oh, congrats, you finally reached the place. Oh, but guess what? You reached this place, but this place doesn't work. So you gotta find other things to go to another place. But that also doesn't work. So you gotta do another thing to get to another place. And it keeps going over and over and over again. The same thing. And it's so annoying.
I feel like the whole like fear of the unknown thing. Like, oh, we were so close, but oh no, like, I don't know. I feel like, I feel it depends on how they, you know, how they play their cards specifically.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting where it's like, oh, we worked so hard, we're finally there, but then, you know, the feeling of, oh my gosh, like we're another 3 steps back because of, you know, whether it's the killer or like the entity, you know, is stopping us again, it's foiling us again. I have a question for you.
I kind of get it though. Yeah.
Do you prefer, as a movie watcher, as a horror movie watcher, do you prefer to have the same level of knowledge as the characters, or do you like it when, you know, there's information that you know that the characters themselves don't know? So like, let's say the movie is presenting, like there's a frame, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
I get
you
it.
see.
I think I prefer to be on the same level.
Right.
Because I feel like the whole point of horror is meant to be immersive, because you're meant to put yourself in their shoes, right?
Right, but I mean, like, I think I also agree. I like figuring things out along with the character. But I think you know, the whole like I know what could happen, and like I don't know what's gonna happen to the character. I don't know how they're gonna react to it, and like, you know, the anticipation of, oh gosh, like, are they gonna react, you know, a certain way? Like, are they gonna let it get to them? Or I don't know. I think it's always interesting, you know, how
I feel like that's
movies
interesting
play
too,
their
but I feel like that's not as scary. So if you want like actual horror, I feel like it's better to be on the same level as the actual characters. Is what I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because
too.
the other one is more just like, oh, I'm curious. What is gonna happen? but one of them.
And I think there's great ways to like write the revelation moment, like right when you figure out when all the pieces start coming together.
Yeah.
I think, for example, in The Conjuring, I can't remember. I think it's The Conjuring 2.
I haven't seen it.
Spoiler alert for those who haven't seen The Conjuring 2. There is like an entity that's haunting their house, and they're putting all the pieces together, and they finally figure out like the name of the person. And I was watching in the theater, and everyone was like, "Oh my god!" at the same time, because we all found out, because the movie was piecing everything together, putting all the like all the flashbacks together.
Right, and then you're like, "Oh my god, I can't believe it's that."
Yeah.
I kind of know what you mean. Yeah, it's like plot twist, the plot thickens. It's kind of.
I think,
horror. Another is a horror, right?
Yeah.
I forgot about animes. Another is actually a pretty good horror though. Like I have to say.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I think these examples that we've given, I think really play around with like knowledge. I think I think that's definitely something you can play with, whether it's having your reader have the same level of knowledge as your characters, or giving your reader some information that your characters don't have, or I think there's.
Can I just? I think the most important thing about horror is the immersion. So I think that is it. Everything on here just helps you immerse into the story,
Yeah.
And I think anything that breaks that immersion, that like imaginary world that you're in, then that's it. You see through it. You're like, no, that's not what I want to see.
Oh, God.
You know what I mean, though?
Yeah, and yeah, I understand what you mean. And I think when it comes to knowledge control, I think in some, most often we think of like, oh, bad horror movies, give away too much, right? Like we can easily figure it out. Like I already know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like it's so predictable.
Right.
But I think on the flip side, bad horror movies or stories could also, not give away enough, because I think in like, for example, what I was talking about, what was the movie where is it called Bird Box? The one where they
I think so. Bird Box.
Yeah.
Something box.
They don't explain. Yeah, they don't explain like the entity that they're like running away from, or that's affecting everything. So, I'm sitting there wondering like, why are they going through all this? Why are they going through all the trouble? I'd love to know. So, I think having a good balance of that.
Right. I think so. And also, like a lot of horror games and like horror movies have very, very unsatisfying endings. Like I don't know what's up with that, but they have really, really, really unsatisfying endings. Like I went through all that and you give me this?
So elaborate more. What do you think makes
So for example,
unsatisfying?
with your Bird Box thing, I'm guessing it's one of those endings where it's like you thought they're gonna explain what the creature's all about, right? You thought that they're gonna talk about it, but they don't. And it just ends with whatever, right? It's one of those. I haven't seen it, but I can already guess.
I think understanding what your audience has like expectations for things. So, and I think that kind of goes back to Chekhov's gun, but even kind of like on a more basic level than small things making like a comeback or acting as foreshadowing. I think just meeting your audience's expectations for what. I was gonna say for what they expect, but for how events should pan out.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like if you have like kids going to a haunted house, they should find out what's haunting the house.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like you gotta give the audience what they came in for. Like you can't just be like, let's explore horror house. All of them die. How did they die? Nobody knows. Oh, but then I just came here to watch that. I came here just to watch the scary part. Like that's it. I didn't walk out with anything.
And I don't know, maybe we're the hot take, but
I don't think so.
Because like to me, in horror, I feel like a good way to kind of like I guess have an ending or have some sort of closure is to uncover some of that unknown, right? Because that's one of the core of like that's what makes things scary, right? The idea of the unknown. But I don't know, like maybe I don't know. I just feel like
Okay,
it's
but good horror
good
though.
story.
Good horror, when it's done properly, is it's scary throughout. It gives you that unsettling feeling throughout the film.
Right,
But even after
right.
they give you the ending, it makes you think about it. You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it does that pretty well.
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Like you still think about it. It's like, oh, so like even though it's technically resolved, but you know he's still like out there somewhere. And then it's like, oh, so is it gonna happen again? And then like the reality of that world it's in, it's like, I don't know, it's kind of unsettling.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know, because I feel like some horror like fans that I know like horror just for like the fear,
Like the
you
thrill
know,
of
does
it?
that make
Like
sense?
the adrenaline?
Like the thrill of it.
It's like going
Yeah,
on
but
a roller coaster, I guess.
I feel like at that point it's more of a thriller than it is a horror. I
Yeah.
think horror really like unpackages like I don't know.
Actually, no. If you think about it like that, I feel like it's the other way around. I think thriller is more of the mental stuff, and horror is more of the
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Because I always thought thriller is more of like the jump scares.
Oh, really?
And like the
Oh, I
screaming.
thought it was the other way around.
And then horror, I thought, kind of dives into like our fears and why, and like fear of the unknown, or like loss of identity, loss of meaning.
So you're saying horror should stick with you longer, while thriller is the momentary one. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because stories can be like horror thrillers, like they can be both,
Right.
but-
I always thought it was the other way around. Interesting.
Yeah, because some horror movies are just I don't know, because some horror movies I would consider like a thriller. It's more of like a deep-seated sort of like creepiness or.
Right. I kind of get it. Okay, so stuff like Parasite isn't exactly like horror, but it's kind of got that element.
I don't know. I still feel like it's a horror movie.
You think Parasite is like the Korean one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. I think it's.
You
still
think
like
it's
a
horror?
movie.
Okay, I think it's kind of.
Yeah.
I think that one's a really well-written one, but it's not horror in like the traditional sense. They didn't have like
Right.
any jump scares. I mean, maybe they had one or two, but like,
Right.
yeah, but it basically
I
didn't
think-
have any.
Oh my gosh. So have you seen that one meme where it's like the different the idea of it isn't a meme, but people like to do memes of it. It's like the different kinds of conflict in literature. And it's like, man versus self, or like man versus society, man versus nature. I think definitely Parasite tells a story of like
Man versus man.
versus society. Or true man versus man.
Oh,
but,
man versus society, yeah, guys.
And I think horror movies tend to, have a strong correlation to one of those. Whereas thriller, I think it's more of like a.
I always thought it was the other way around. But okay, alright then. Let's just say that for today.
Let me search it up. On my PRISM laptop.
Do it!
Define thriller. A novel player movie with an exciting plot, typically involving crime or espionage. Yeah.
Okay, so it is.
It's like thrilling, yeah.
Okay.
A high degree of intrigue, adventure, or suspense.
So what's horror?
Let me see. Define horror. Oh, the difference between horror and thriller movies.
Difference
Let's see.
between,
Okay. Because I a lot of the times I feel like not always, but I feel like often I use them
Interchangeably,
like
right?
the two
Yeah,
words.
I think they're the same thing as well. But I guess there is a difference. So
Yeah. Let me see what it has to say. Difference between horror and thriller movies. Okay. Horror genre is it's to create feelings of fear, dread, disgust, and terror.
so that's horror.
Yeah, the
Right,
primary goal is to
right,
develop an
right,
atmosphere
right.
that puts the
Oh,
audience
so
on
horror
edge.
is the atmosphere, and thriller is more of the momentary. Oh,
Yeah, there are feelings. So you can have an action thriller.
right.
Right.
I get it.
Yes. You can also have a horror.
So I guess jump scares are more thriller than horror then.
Right. So it's not necessary to have jump scares, but
Which
That's
is
the
why,
kind of horror movie
which is
you
why
want.
good horror movies actually don't have jump scares.
Oh, well, I mean, you can have a good horror
I mean,
movie without
you
it.
can, yeah, exactly. You can have thriller horrors, which is fine as well. But I think those are like the
Yeah.
cheaper ones, to be honest.
Oh gosh. So what's an example of a horror, anime, game, etc. that doesn't have jump scares? Can you think of one off the top of your
Parasite,
head?
literally.
Really, I feel like there's like a couple in there. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I agree. I think they really do focus a lot on like the
Okay.
I don't know.
And how
just,
about
the
stuff like
fear
Snowpiercer?
of-
That one I'm pretty sure didn't have like any jump
I
scares.
don't. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, right?
I'm trying to think of different because a lot of horror movies I watch are like supernatural ones. So
Right. I don't like those ones.
a lot of them are. So yeah, another question for you: what kind of horror do you like, or what kind of horror do you prefer?
Okay, so here's the thing. I feel like the point of watching horror movies is because you want to feel the dread, the doom. You know what I'm saying? So having something really supernatural, I can't relate to it. I just think it's fake. So I don't think it's that
See,
scary.
I prefer watching supernatural horror stories because it's a little less close to home.
Right.
Because true crime, I think, scares me more.
I like true crime. It scares the heck out of me. That's why I like it.
I mean, I like watching true crime as well, but it feels a little too real because it's like, oh my gosh, that could happen to me.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's fun.
Oh gosh. I mean, I guess that makes sense. I just have a personal preference too.
Oh,
It's
yeah. I guess I don't watch a lot of horror movies, but I do watch a lot of true crime documentaries, so I guess that counts.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh. So we have a pretty good collection of horror aspects here, but what shall we do for our package, our solution for our
See, I feel like we're
our
on a
dear
split
customer.
here. I prefer stuff that's more close to home, so stuff like Parasite, where it's like, I like things that make you think about it for days after you finish watching the movie. Because like stuff like,
same.
yeah, stuff like Conjurer, you're probably like, oh yeah, it's scary, but it doesn't really impact me because it's not real,
I think you can write a good horror story either way.
Yeah, I think you
Right.
can. I'm not saying that you can't. I'm just saying, like, it's what you prefer. I prefer stuff that just sticks in your head and doesn't let go. Yeah. So, like,
Really makes you think.
yeah, stuff like Parasite. I mean, it was a good one, but it didn't really make me think that much.
Parasite?
Parasite made me think, man. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, I thought a lot.
Yeah.
There's so much to unpack, and there's so many things that you can carry
Exactly.
over to the day to day.
Yeah.
Where, yeah. I mean, I guess it's the purpose of the supernatural one, where it's like, do you want to make your audience think? Is there something about like society that you want to say? If you're writing a true crime, is there something that you're trying to get out? But when it comes to supernatural, I think they just want to tell a story,
Yeah.
right? They want to share a story of like, I don't know, a family moving into a haunted house and having something happen. I think it's really the preference.
Yeah, I think so. It's just what you want your audience to feel and how you. Yeah, I guess, yeah. In that case,
I'm intrigued to see
How?
what kind of horror story that Yuna's writing.
Yeah, right? Show us, bro. But here's the thing.
It looks like a horror fan fiction.
Yeah, but here's the thing about this product. We kind of are not really agreeing on something. You like it supernatural, I like it more close to home. So what is it gonna be?
I don't know. What if we did like a combined supernatural true crime? Do you think we could do that? Supernatural like
true crime.
a supernatural like take on society's like various a supernatural
So
man
like
versus
you're saying
society's
Train to Busan meets Parasite?
yeah, something like that would be cool.
Okay.
Zombie like Parasite.
Zombie Parasite. But I don't know, I feel like that ruins
Ghost
both of them, no?
Parasite.
Like, you know what I mean?
I guess.
Yeah.
But I think I feel like if you wanted to try your hand at
I feel like the
something.
reason why people don't combine them is because it just ruins both genres.
I don't know. I feel like it could happen. I feel like you could really make it work.
Okay, think about it like this.
What if you
The
had
whole
two
point-
parallel storylines?
The whole
going
point, okay, but okay, here's the reason why it doesn't work. The whole point of having realistic things realistic is so people can relate to it. Once you add the supernatural element to it, people can't relate to it anymore.
True, but maybe the main genre is supernatural, and maybe the B story is like is true crime.
I mean,
Oh no! I mean, I'm not here to tell you know what to write, but since we're giving a package, right? We need to share what horror story we think would be interesting.
I thought that's now. I don't know. What do you have in mind? Do you have anything?
For like what kind of horror story we would recommend?
Mhm.
Oh gosh, I don't know. Like I mean, I've mentioned before, horror stories that are supernatural are my preference, but
Right.
I see now I can't get out of my head the whole idea of having a supernatural true crime or a supernatural.
But how would that even work? Can you like explain to me how that what that would look like?
I don't know, guys. So off the top of my head, there would be like two storylines, because you know how sometimes there's like two story, like maybe there's like a group of four or something, and they're all kind of like trying to solve like the main like storyline A.
Right.
And then there's like a side story, like you know how like in romance anime they have like a B couple.
Right.
You know, that's kind of going through their own thing, kind of something similar to that. So I don't know. So like let's say you were doing like a ghost story or something. I don't know. And you had a haunted house or something, and then maybe they were like investigating. I don't know. You'd have to really brainstorm it, and maybe there's more to the house than just a supernatural. So like maybe the person who murdered the house. So like let's say they think it's like a scary ghost or something, right? They think it's like a bad ghost, but let's say somehow they, whether it's through contact with the spirit or they find things in the home, they found out that it was the husband
So
the whole
this
time.
is just
who, like,
Scooby-Doo but adult. Ghostbusters but adult.
yeah, sure, yeah, and they find out, and it's like maybe the husband is still alive.
Oh,
and,
okay. I have a
and
concept
it maybe,
for you.
mhm.
That man
Go ahead,
is
go ahead.
scarier than any of the unknown.
Yeah.
That kind of idea?
So, yeah, like maybe it can start off, maybe it could like morph, right? So like subvert even your
Okay,
expectations.
wait, that's
in the
actually
middle
not
of
a
it.
bad one, but I feel like it's probably been done before. But yeah, I get it. I like it.
Probably.
Yeah.
But have like a big twist where like, can I pitch you my idea
do it.
before
Do
we
it.
pitch
Do
our
it.
combined
Do it.
idea? So while I pitch this first initial idea, you can kind of think of the 6 things we've talked about and how we can really finalize it for the final pitch. But long story short, I guess a group of kids found out about like a murder of like a housewife or something not too long ago, and so they think something is up, and maybe the husband asked them to like help. I don't know, something. The nice old man that they know is all distraught, and so they go into the house, the old house, to figure out what happened. And so they think that the lady is like a bad ghost, and so they're trying to do all this thing, but they find out that the reason why she's such a an angry ghost is because it was her husband that had killed her, and she doesn't want anyone else to be hurt by her husband or something. And then it switches to a true crime, and they know what happened. They're trying to figure out what happened. And what do you think?
It's not quite what I had imagined, but I kind of like it.
What were you imagining then?
I don't know. I was thinking more along the lines of something really. Okay, so like, have you seen like those cults? I guess like a Midsummer's. Is that what it's called? Midsummer.
Yeah, like Midsummer.
Yeah, Midsummer. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
You know how they have like
Yeah.
that really culty stuff, and it's really unsettling, right? So
Yes.
basically, I guess have that sort of atmosphere, but make people think that there's actually supernatural things going on, but turns out it's just all people doing it. If that makes sense. So it's like people go missing every night. In the beginning, you think, oh, like it's someone it's like a.
Would that still classify as supernatural if the cause isn't actually supernatural? Like, would that classify as a supernatural horror movie if there isn't actually a supernatural presence?
Right.
But I like the
guess
idea.
it kind of does because if you dance around the idea that there is something, but in the end you find out there isn't, I guess it still counts technically. No.
Because I feel like a lot of like true crime documentaries are like they, you know, the killer will like disguise themselves as some sort of natural, like supernatural being. Like I don't know if you've heard the story of the Watcher. I think the Ghoul Boys talked about this, but it's essentially this individual who would send letters to a home and say, I am the Watcher, and like I've been watching over this home for many years now, like decades or centuries, and you know, and it's something like that, and you know, they would kind of disguise themselves as this like supernatural entity, but it was actually just, you know, someone watching over the home.
I guess kinda. I kinda know what you're saying.
What do you think? Our example story to highlight our 6 key points. What shall it be? Oh no.
It's not I don't like your idea. It just feels a bit like, how do I say this?
Go ahead.
It feels a bit like a children's cartoon.
Yeah, I'm obviously there's some things that you have to. I mean, I think it really depends on how you play it out.
I guess, yeah, but it's like, oh no, the ghost all along was befriendable. Let's befriend ghost, you know?
Oh, maybe not befriend ghost, but like maybe they just misunderstood the ghost the whole time, and like they thought it was like an evil ghost, but maybe they're just like neutral. Maybe they don't team up with the ghost, but they find out that that's not what they needed to be worrying this whole time.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Right.
And they found out, oh no, the real thing we needed to worry about was so and so, and so you know the focus of it shifts, and then it becomes like a true crime.
Okay, I have a question for you. Do you like happy endings in horror movies?
I mean, I always like happy endings in anything, but
Personally, I don't like happy endings in horror movies.
Really?
I don't like it.
Like, for example, why?
Because, you know, it's meant to make you feel something, right? So, for example, let's say for Parasite, it's meant to make you feel this always, like, imminent sense of doom. That no matter what happens, you can't change your place in society. That's what the whole film is about, right? So, you know how it gave you one of the endings where it seems like he bought the house? You know how that was one of the endings they showed you, right? But you know it's not true because then they pan back to the reality. And you know that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's like a really big hit in the face, and that makes you think. But if they just ended on the fact that he bought the house, they're like, oh, that's nice. But then that's it. You end there, you know? Like you did it.
I think it really depends on the story that you're trying to tell. Because I think they were trying to kind of convey like the illusion of like mobility.
Yeah.
Where it's like, so I think it depends on the story you're trying to tell.
But I think
because I agree. I think Parasite
horror movies. I don't like it when it's happy. Like some things need to have changed. Some stakes need to have been lost. Otherwise, it's still horror. You know?
Oh yeah. I mean, most definitely. You know, there needs to be some sort of like, you know, I don't want to say lost.
No,
but some
lost.
Sort of, like,
Has to be
thing
lost. Has to be
happening.
lost.
Oh gosh. Oh dear.
Someone has to lose
but
something.
some, you know. Well, yeah, I mean, the stakes need to be high. Something needs to have happened. But, like, when it, like, for example, for, like, The Conjuring, I think if I remember correctly, you know, they found out what the entity was that was haunting them, and, yeah, they were able to overcome. What do you think?
I don't know. I just feel like I'm okay with bittersweet endings. So it's like, I may have lost this, but at least I gained this. That I'm okay with.
Sure, I think we can definitely agree
but
on
I'm
that.
not okay with happy endings.
That's right. I mean, I wouldn't be mad if there was a happy
I would be
ending,
mad.
but
I would be mad. That's a horror movie.
It depends.
That's a
it depends on the story. It depends on the story. Because I think if Parasite had like a happy ending,
I'd be mad. I would be mad.
I would be a little upset because I think it removes the impact.
Right, exactly. So you'd be exactly. You just said it. You'd be upset.
But it depends on the story, and I think with Parasite's specific story, I think it makes sense.
Can you think of one horror story? I mean, horror movie that should have ended on a good ending? I can't think of a single one.
Well, I mean, I think like ghost stories where there's like a haunting, and now the family is like happy now because there's not a ghost in there. That's nice.
But even then, it's like most of the time that's not as simple as that is, right? Like, okay, if you think about a simple ghost hunting story, if you just give them people like at face value, oh, here's ghosts, go rid of ghosts, happy. That's a really bad story.
Right, I mean, obviously things are gonna happen throughout.
Exactly.
The story,
so there has to be stakes, like I said. There has to be a reason why the ghost is there. Happy. Yeah, you can be happy, but you have to have lost something, is what I'm saying. Otherwise, it just wouldn't make it hard.
Then that's throughout the story. At the end.
Yeah, but it has to be like some sort of a bittersweet ending where it's like, I have lost so much, but you know what? At least I'm happy now, kind of thing. I'm okay with that.
Right, exactly.
So that's technically not a happy ending. It's just a bittersweet ending.
I guess that's my positivity speaking for itself.
So, for example, like with ghost haunting family thing, it's like, okay, maybe they were haunted for no reason, absolute no reason. But I would think it makes a better story if you actually gave a reason why this ghost is haunting this person in the first place, right?
Oh, yes, yeah.
And then because of that, because like how do I say this? It's one way of character development. They have to realize what they're doing wrong, and through realizing it, they need to lose things. Like I guess.
Yeah. Well, I guess I call those happy endings because as long as something positive happens, I guess.
What? No.
Happy ending.
I is not happy.
Because to me, when it's like, if there's a positive outcome, even though there's things that happen during the movie or during the story itself, as long as there's a positive outcome, a majority positive outcome, I consider that a happy ending. So earlier when you were saying like, we may have, maybe we were scared during it, maybe our house is a little bit messed up now, but at least we're alive and we're together. I consider that to be a happy ending.
No, but that is an actual happy ending though. Like, you have to lose something, like the most important thing to you or something. It has to be higher stakes than just my house is a little bit messed up.
Well, I mean, like maybe they discovered. I mean, I think there's horror movies where, like, I don't think The Conjuring 2. I don't think they lost anybody. Like their house got messed up. They were really scared during it. But by the end,
was it a good movie though? I haven't seen it, so
I liked it. Okay. I liked Conjuring 2 and The Conjuring.
Maybe you just like that sort
if I
of
remember
stuff.
Correctly. I don't know. I always like happy endings. But I think for our story for today, I think we could do a bittersweet.
Yeah. Personally, I don't like the stuff that you just said. Like, okay, for me, I feel like personally I would not like The Conjuring. Just based on what you said.
We should watch. You should try.
Maybe.
Try. Let me know.
I'll let you know. But I feel like I wouldn't like it. I'm gonna give you my reason. So basically, you're telling me it's all the supernatural stuff. So first of all, that's already like pretty unrelatable, you know. And then second of all, and you're like, okay, they defeat the state without any stakes, without like anyone losing. The house got a little messed up, and that's it. And I'm like, well, what did you learn from it then? Like, was there anything like? Did you think about it afterwards? Or did you just go like, oh, that was scary. Cool. Let's move on with my life.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they have a takeaway, but
no, like, did you have a takeaway from it?
Well, because with supernatural stories, I feel like it's not the goal of it is not to say something about society or have some sort of like some sort of message. It's more so they're trying to tell a story. So. I'm not walking away from it thinking like, oh, I should like in my day-to-day life, like I should consider this. It's more so of like a, they set a problem, there's a rising action, there's like a final conflict, and then there's a.
Maybe I just don't like stories that don't touch upon issues at all.
I mean, I like stories like that too, but I think I also appreciate just like stories.
I don't.
I mean, obviously they have messages, but I don't think they're as, concrete to like day-to-day things as movies like Parasite.
Yeah.
Because I think media doesn't always have to have a strong like core message to be a good story.
No, but I think it kind of does. The most successful ones are always the ones with a core message. So I don't think it's a coincidence.
I mean, I think you can write a good story without it, but
I mean, you can, I guess. I would prefer if they did have the thing, though. Is what I'm
right,
saying.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I love stories with messages, but I think maybe sometimes you just want to hear a story. I think it's again like that purpose or like.
So you
what
just
do
want
you
adrenaline.
watch
You
right
just
now?
want adrenaline rush. It's like yeah.
Or you just want to hear like maybe you just want to hear a story and like
Right.
because I think there's definitely times for like I want to like really think. I really want to like get my brain going and have that
I mean,
reflected.
but here's the
on-
thing. Because we're on the topic of horror movies, I would never just sit down and be like, oh my god, I am so tired. I just want to relax and a nice, no-brainer horror story. Like, if I was so tired and I want to just relax, I'd sit down and just watch like Slice of Life or something,
I mean, it's not necessarily like a no-brainer because like like for example, like in a supernatural movie like The Conjuring, it's there's puzzles and things that you have to figure out, and you're wondering why, and you're trying to piece things together, but there's not like a overarching message about
Right.
society or about like humanity.
I think this is
or,
just all personal preference. I just don't like that sort of stuff.
yeah, I think so too. So how about, here's this. How about for the pitch? Let's do the split down the middle.
Oh, let's go.
supernatural
Let's go.
Yeah,
it's
let's do
splitty
it.
again.
So are we going to go with how about we go with the first half supernatural, the first half true crime, and I can talk about the supernatural, and then you can talk about the true crime section.
Sure. Why not?
All right. And we need to talk about how our sections of the movie or the story touch upon these 6 things.
Right. Okay.
Oh gosh. Okay.
We'll try
Here
my
we go.
best.
Here we go. I'll try my best. All right. Here we go. Luto and Rita's. I guess this is our very own Nightmare Before Christmas because we're doing a horror movie in December. So
Our original.
Luto and Rita's. Nightmare
That's
Before
copyrighted.
Christmas.
Horror before Christmas.
Horror before the holidays.
Horror before the holidays. Ho. Also known as ho. Horror of the holidays. Ho. Ho.
Like
Horror at holidays.
Horror and holidays.
No, horror at the holidays. So ha.
Horror at the holidays.
Yeah.
So, hello, welcome to our pitch for Horror at the Holidays, or more affectionately known as Ha.
Yeah.
Here's Ha Arc 1,
Oh yeah.
the supernatural arc of Ha. And so essentially there is a group of what do you want to do? Maybe like college age kids.
So.
Just chilling around in their college in their hometown. They're home from college, and then they're home from college for the holidays. For the holidays, and they think they're gonna have a very casual, normal holiday season, but they find out that when they were away, there was a couple in the neighborhood that they lived in, where the wife had died.
Mysteriously.
And there had been all sorts of like mysterious, things happening.
Exactly.
And so, they think, hey, let's go check it out. They're actually, close friends with the couple. So they were invited over by the old man. They were talking to him, and he steps out for a moment, and they're like, hey, let's snoop around. And they find out that there is some sort of ghost or supernatural entity. And so during the whole time, obviously, you want them to be believable. They're college kids coming back, so obviously they're not going to be too like, oh, we're gonna. They're kind of like, maybe we're just, whatever. They're just at first trying to have fun, and they realize something's up, and so, very, very, very reasonable reactions for college students. And obviously, they're not going to do things like breaking and entering. They're going to try to find ways to get in, that are believable. So maybe they'll ask if they can help out with cleaning the house, maybe because it's just the old man, or maybe, they're cat sitting or something.
Yeah.
And so the whole time, the knowledge control behind this is that there's pieces that they're trying to put together, like how did she die, or things like that. And your expectation is they're trying to figure out what happened to the lady, and or why she's haunting the place, and why she's so angry. And that also kind of goes into the world building, like the history behind the lady and what the different things are happening. But I'm trying to think of how to put meaningful fear in Chekhov's gun.
The world building also needs to be like, it needs to be believable that it's a world where they actually can see ghosts, where ghosts actually are.
Right.
You have to make that very, very clear from the beginning.
Right.
Yeah, that this is a normal.
Right. Right, and so like maybe even it's not like apparition, but it things like lights moving, or like some of the more believable supernatural elements, things that a lot of the times people might brush off as, oh, maybe that was just the AC, like oh, maybe this and that, but then having them realize that this whole time that the lady isn't an evil spirit, but rather she's just trying to warn the children of of what the true fear is. And I think the idea of meaningful fear, I think
that comes from
that whole I think the subversion of what we were expecting, right? And then I think we can bring in Chekhov's gun for this one. I think so at least the twist is believable, right? So it's not we're not like that was thrown onto us out of nowhere, right?
Yeah, I guess you need to set up for the twist. Like something to point that the lady wasn't the actual culprit after.
And I think the Chekhov's gun may be like something that the old man said, or maybe something.
Oh, I have an idea. What if we make the story something like, so someone disappears from like a group each day, and then they keep thinking it's a ghost who did it, but it actually wasn't.
Oh yeah, and it was the old man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So take it away, Arc 2 of
I don't even know. I don't even know what to say. So basically, I guess this is just what I see in my mind. But this is more your story than mine. So I don't really know. But
this is Arc 2. You can make it whatever you want.
Oh my God! All right.
Your half.
So one day, I guess they were in the house trying to figure out why the lady died, and they discovered a journal. A journal of when she was still alive. And then so they basically went through it and saw like disturbing photographs of like other people that had been like kidnapped or something and something. And she basically recounted the times where she had to be an accomplice, but he wouldn't let her go. And so she died because he murdered her. But I guess that part wasn't written in there, but they just figured it out.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So how are we gonna make another story arc? Oh my god.
Yeah, I guess now is the part where this is probably where the true crime part comes in, where it's that okay, maybe not make it so obvious that it was the man in the beginning, but make it just be like, I was a victim of something, but then not make clear what the victim of something is, and they're like, oh, but why? So it's like, oh, maybe that's why she's angry. And then they try to figure out why. And then they go through all these places to find all these people, talk to all these people. And then finally they go back to her very own house and go back to the basement. And then that's where they find like all the evidence and stuff.
Yeah. So I think definitely the supernatural arc will be more. I think the ending is you find out that she's not a bad ghost.
Yeah, I think there's
or you
not
find
really
out that the disappearances
arc.
aren't. Or maybe it's that the disappearances weren't related to the ghost.
Yeah.
So you know that there is a ghost and it's doing things, but it's not related to that.
Yeah. And then,
it's a separate like entity.
And then it turns out that the man that you've been helping the whole time has actually been stabbing you in the back.
Yeah.
But then,
true crime.
But then here's the thing though, what message does this tell? I feel like this one's a bit weak because it doesn't really give much of a message,
Maybe it's the whole like you can't jump to conclusions, or you have to like be more observant, or like you can't trust, you can't be quick to trust or something. I don't know. I can't say because I trust people very easily. Because maybe it's like everything isn't what it seems, right? Because they had all these scary things happening. The ghost is kind of making things happen in the home, and plus their friends are like disappearing. So they kind of put two and two together and thought, hey, it's the ghost that's causing things. And so, maybe don't be so quick to jump to conclusions.
But I feel like that's not something that would stick with me for a long time, to be very honest. It's not like, I don't know, it's like, yeah, it's a nice message, but it's not like a
maybe
bad
the message could come in the true crime section.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying,
like
but I can't
why
think
he did it, or maybe it could be what, maybe the message is like what the reason why, or I don't know. What do you think? Or maybe it's how everyone reacted, or like the reactions of the neighborhood, or
or maybe, I actually kind of have an idea. So what if like they find out that it was a man the whole time, but because he's like from like a rich and powerful family or something, and nobody would do anything about it, and then all the kids end up getting murdered anyways.
Whoa. Yeah, and then maybe you can tell a message of how like in society a lot of times like having money or having power is how a lot of people get away with things.
Yeah, something like that.
And it could be kind of like a like speaking
my god.
about
Okay,
that,
oh my god, I have an idea. So how about like in the beginning and end, it sort of starts and ends the same way? Like, like some, like, there's a missing child poster. Like, you zoom in, and that's the first scene you see. And the last one will be the missing child poster of another one. Because it just keeps going, like it never ends.
Yeah, and then I think a really cool way to kind of like start, start kind of like sprinkling in a little bit of that whole message of, the whole idea that a lot of it's not good. Like it sucks that this happens, but it happens, right? And kind of highlighting that maybe in the beginning, like maybe they go to like a rich school, or the kids are like rich, and then maybe there's just something silly that they talk about, like, I might have gotten like a bad grade on that, but like it's like, I have a lot of money, I can just take another class, or I can repeat it. And so kind of like throw in there.
I know something, like, how like there's people that like are really bad at driving, and then they like run over things, and then they're like, well, whatever, I'll just pay the fine, and then they run over something like an animal, and then they just pay it off,
right?
Or even another person, and they just pay the money and just walk away,
And I think if we sprinkle a little bit that with our with our main characters, like they do things like like little things like that to lead up to the very end.
Yeah.
It's like this whole time you've been benefiting off of it, but now there's someone who's even like stronger and more powerful than you, and you can see how that like that negativity, or like, I like it.
Yeah, I feel like that works.
I like it.
I feel like that kind of works on all levels, right? Like the world building.
Yeah.
It's a world where ghosts are a thing, like, and where it sort of have that power and balance, kind of like our world. Meaningful.
And you have that message about society.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the meaningful fear would be the message about society, like that. I guess corruption is what you call it. And Chekhov's gun would be the things that we sprinkle out throughout. So it's like how they reap what they sow, kind of thing.
Yeah, and so it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Because then it's like the whole time, like you kind of don't even think about it, right? It's like, oh, yeah, like, oh, they like, oh, maybe they were in the house, they accidentally broke something, and they can say, oh, it's okay, like we can just he won't get mad, or he won't notice, like maybe we can just lie and say we can give him some money, put some money on it,
something like that.
But then at the end it's like, the same thing happened, but to them this time. Oh, I like it.
And then
I really like it.
I think it's nice because it's like a circle, and then especially when you have like the same, I guess, scene for the beginning and the ending, I think it's impactful. So why don't we just start with the missing child poster and end with a different one?
Yeah. And like we like reframe it. I like it. I like it a lot.
And then we have to have believable reactions, which is, I guess, that's a bit harder to talk about now, but
maybe towards the end. I think obviously there's reactions because they're college kids. Like I feel like a lot of the times it's like, try to mess with each other. They're not like, they kind of like are more chill.
Right.
But I think the one at the very end, when it comes to believable reactions, I think a lot of the times people look the other way when or not even look the other way, but don't even realize that a lot of the times people who have money or power are able to do things like that. And I think maybe the reactions is part of the message that we're sharing.
Right, so the lack of.
We know what happened, right? But the neighborhood doesn't know.
Right.
The neighborhood doesn't
Carries
think about
on
it. And so
as
it
it
can
is.
make... Exactly, and it can make the audience think because they have this information.
So how
that,
about,
you
like,
know, the
we
neighborhood
have
doesn't
no
know. Go
jump
ahead.
scares? The only jump scares will be with the ghosts. Because that's the cheap,
Yeah.
like, scares.
Mm.
But it's not like, how do I say this? It's like, because you want to make it feel like, oh, this is the not actually scary part. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's more of like a yeah, it's definitely more of like a society based like character driven for the second half. For sure. And I think the believable reactions is the lack of reaction from the neighborhood. Like not even blinking an eye. Like
Right.
you know,
Life carries
that's
on.
normal. Like
Exactly.
right, exactly. Like life carries on and it's sad, but it's
It
a
is what it
true
is.
fact that a lot of the
Police
times
are still gonna
in our
chill
society-
around, eat their donuts and coffee, and not gonna worry about those kids.
I mean, they are going to worry about the kids, but I think where the core message was, you know, unfortunately, a lot of the times, people with money and power can get away with
Right,
things.
yeah. And then I guess the knowledge
Because
control will be, I mean, we'll just find out when the characters find out. So that's where the
Yeah.
knowledge control comes from. And set expectations is we want to figure out why it's happening, and we do. So there we go.
Well, Yuna, I hope that our story that we've put together, you know, really highlights the things that we've talked about today, and I hope that, you know, I wish you the best of luck with the horror story that you're writing, and
Yeah.
everyone, Off the Scuff audience, what do you think of our product?
Yeah, but
What do you
like,
think of
okay,
our
but
product?
I just want to reiterate
course, go
that
ahead.
he's actually asking us for advice. So what we gave him is our own story. It's just highlighting these things that I think are important.
Exactly.
You don't have to take
Yeah.
our story. Don't take it. It's
Exactly,
copyrighted now. Too
exactly.
bad it's mine.
It's, yes. There's a patent on it.
There isn't actually.
But yeah, like Luto said, I hope that, you know, as we've talked about it, as we've kind of set our own examples, I hope that our advice is more clear
Yeah.
or helpful for you.
Now, we'll just focus on your world building, your meaningful fear, your check of
Yeah.
guns, your believable reactions, your knowledge control, and just set expectations and you'll be good. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and best of luck to you.
Yeah.
And let us know what you thought about our product.
Show us when you're done.
Or add to the story, or what do you think the characters would be? Like, what would the movie poster look like?
Yeah.
Gosh.
Also, share your story with us. I'll grade it for you. I'm really good at essay grading and creative story
Yeah.
grading,
Oh.
so I got you.
Well, there you go.
I'll give you a marking criteria and everything. Don't worry, I got you.
Oh my goodness.
So, grammar and punctuation out of 10. World building out of 15.
Oh,
Everything
gosh.
else here out of 15. Okay, there you go.
Oh my gosh. Oh dear. And with that,
Mhm.
everyone, thank you all so much for trusting the staff here at
Yeah.
Off the Scuff with your time. And we hope to see you for our next shift.
Yeah, if you have any questions, any problems at all you guys want us to solve, well, leave them in the comment down below. Because I can't read your goddamn minds. If you want us to keep doing this, you gotta give us the questions, man. I can't guess
Yeah,
what you
we
want to
can't-
see,
we
bro.
can't- we can't do more episodes without more questions. So do let us know
So, no.
what you want us to solve or create, you know, solutions for.
Yeah.
And do you have something important to ask everyone to
Hell
do?
yeah. Before you go, don't forget to smash that like button like how I smash your mom every night. Don't forget to turn on the bell notification like how she rings me every night. And don't
gosh.
forget to give the subscribe button a little tickle too if you haven't done that.
And for our Spotify and Anchor customers, please do follow the podcast and
Yeah.
look forward to more episodes
So
to come.
no. Also want to know, how many of you guys actually listen to Spotify?
Oh, actually, yeah. I kind of maybe we should do a poll. On
Yeah,
Twitter or
right?
something. Yeah. And as always, thank you again for stopping by the office
Yeah.
today. And we'll be back in business at the same time in 2 weeks.
Yes.
With even more fun shenanigans.
Please leave your questions
And-
down below so we can come up with something off the scuff for you guys.
Yeah. See you next time.
See you guys. Thank you for coming again. Bye
Off the
bye.
scuff.
Off the scuff.